Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Femme Tell All podcast. My name is Madison Bellissimo.
And I'm Ruth Devereaux.
And we're so happy you're here.
We're happy. It's summertime. It's so warm.
Thank fucking God.
Finally,
dude.
right? Oh my God.
I've talked to my therapist about it where I was like, girl, it was bleak for a second when that sun was not showing up.
Every day.
Yeah.
We are obviously Californians.
Yeah. But in LA,
that's our biggest complaint.
Yeah, no, truly. Because LA was so gloomy.
It was
all
so
of
gloomy.
May.
Yeah.
And so
depressing.
We're here.
Now
and it's
summer's
sunny.
out. I keep craving rosé every day.
Listen, and if that's your prerogative, that's your prerogative, and I love that for you. And it's kind of a time for romance.
It is.
Wouldn't you say?
It's dating season.
Dating season. Or, well, I guess you could go one of two ways. You could either go full hot girl summer send.
Sure, absolutely.
Or,
and if you are, get it, girl.
Get it. We really approve of a hot girl summer. Or you're in the presence of love, you know? You're trying to get out there. You're trying to put yourself out there.
Yes.
And you're going on dates.
Yes. And Madison and I have been on our fair share of dates.
We have.
And some have not been so great.
Not great.
Yeah.
And we were talking to our guy friends about this last week, about how it would be simpler if they had almost like not a playbook.
Yes.
A playbook.
And we're here to offer you that book.
Yeah. So we're going to talk to you all about how we think it would be great to plan a date. And it's not just going to be for heterosexual relationships.
No, not at all. It's for anybody planning a date.
Argue this is for any sexual orientation, any gender. But how to plan an awesome date, how to execute it, how to come correct.
Yes.
And we can't wait to get into it.
Let's do it.
So what would you say is your best date you've ever been on?
Okay. I'm going to minus every date I've been on with Neil because I don't want to make it just like, I just talked about Neil.
Yeah. Fair.
But one of the best dates I went on, BN before Neil.
Yeah. That is so funny because I made that reference to someone the other day. I said
really?
BM before Maddie.
Oh my God.
That's so weird. Okay.
Well,
that's serendipitous.
This is why we're best friends.
Yes, no, truly. I love you so much. Okay, so BN before Neil.
Before Neil, I went on a date to the Grove.
Okay.
With this guy.
Yes. Continue though.
And the whole plan was to show up there. It was around Christmas time, and we were going to wear ugly Christmas sweaters. And we literally met up in the middle of the Grove. It was packed, but then we both opened our jackets and showed our ugly sweaters at the same time. It was fabulous. And then we kind of went restaurant/bar hopping in that area. And we went to a couple of different places, had a drink and an appetizer, went to the next place. We tried to go get pictures with Santa, but we were too late by the time that we actually got there.
Happens.
And then at the end of the date, right?
Happens to the best of us.
At the end of the date, we're in the middle of the courtyard. The fake snow starts falling. And we are dancing to the Christmas music in the middle of this fake snow, and we have a kiss, and it was beautiful, and it was a great date. Didn't end up being a great relationship, but a great date.
But okay, and that's what I would say. You remember that? That's infamous in your memory.
Absolutely.
So everyone at home who's listening, this is going to help you no matter what. Even if you plan, because I think people get caught up on is it worth it to go full out, right?
Yeah.
If I don't know they're the one, she's the one, he's the one, right?
It's still an experience for you.
Yeah. And I would argue, don't you want a woman on her podcast telling about
you never know when somebody's going to start a podcast.
It's true. And I think having that energy of someone thinking of you fondly in that way, you left an impression, you left a lasting impression.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the point. Hopefully a good lasting impression when you're planning a date. Yeah. And I think the whole thing is it's ambiance, it's romance.
Well, one of our mutual friends, I can say his name because he's been on, Adam, he talks about when he goes on dates, for him, because he goes to nice restaurants because he's I want to experience this too. Why not experience it with somebody that could end up potentially being a romantic partner?
Totally.
But then also he always talks about leaving a positive impression on anybody that you meet. And how even if you don't end up with this person, he wants to always leave people with that impression of that was a good guy. Even if it didn't work for me, he was a good guy.
And that's why we had Adam on the podcast. Because I think that is 100% correct.
Yeah.
I agree with him completely.
I do too.
Because why, and it's the same, we've talked about this in the past of people showing up to dates not really dressed well,
After I hear your best first date, then we got to talk about the worst dates.
The worst dates, because we've got a couple.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like, I don't know. I've had a lot of really great first dates. But
and I'm not even going to say first, because that date wasn't a first date for me. Yeah.
Okay. So,
just best date. Yeah.
Honestly, I'm going to be real with you. I just went on probably the best date I've ever been on recently. Not you being so bashful. Oh my God. No, genuinely, like, the man knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing.
Knew what he was doing.
I really appreciate it.
And if you're watching this, I give you all the flowers, because you are what inspired this episode, because you came correct.
Oh, you heard that here, maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. I said maybe. But yeah, no, it was wonderful. The one thing that I will say, okay, let me just set up the date. So
yes,
this man sent me almost a week ahead, was like, can you reserve this date for me?
Love that.
Yes.
Respecting a woman's time.
Yes, I can.
Yes.
And then send me a Google invite, which I'm sorry, I thought it's so cute.
Sexy.
So cute, so sexy, so put together. He's putting it on his calendar and mine.
Yes.
He's going,
like, you can't say you forgot about
this.
Yeah,
you can't be like, go on your app and be like, oh shit, I have a date that night.
Yeah, I'm busy.
Yeah. So, and it's like with our names, so cute. And then the man polled, which maybe he's watched these episodes. I don't think he has, though, of like when we've talked about this in the past. He polled my favorite move, which is, here's 3 restaurants.
Yes.
Pick your favorite.
Yes.
And I was like, we love that.
Yes.
Because it was like very clearly like intentional, and they weren't even necessarily like super like extravagant, like overpriced restaurants.
They
were
need
like,
to be.
No,
Yeah.
they don't need to be. They were good restaurants, great food, great ambiance. So
Yeah.
he was just like, here, what do you think of these 3? And I picked one, and I honestly didn't know if he was going to get a reservation or not, and he did. So good on him. Oh, I really
But here's the
respect
thing, though. I
reservation.
think he made multiple reservations, because
That's your speculation, and I love that.
I think I'm right. Let's take a poll.
Oh, yeah, we're like, hey, homeboy, what'd you think?
Or if you're watching, please comment.
Maybe. So yeah, that was one thing that started off the date.
Yeah.
Like as far as, so we went to dinner, and he had already prepped me again earlier in the week. He said, this is my idea. I think I want to take you to a billiards room. Like, how do you feel about playing billiards, playing pool? And I was like, that sounds so fun. And I was like, let me be real with you. I'm not good. Because, like, I love a fucking activity on a date.
Yeah.
Let me say it here. I want an activity. I want an adventure.
Yeah.
I want something.
Yeah.
And, like, I always promote 2 locations on a date at like, least.
Yeah.
I think you should go to 2 locations if you can.
I like that, too. Yeah.
This man we went to 3 locations, okay? And that where I was like, he knows, like he gets it. And so we went and played billiards
Well, that also
after
shows
dinner.
thought, right? Because if you pick one place or just a restaurant, that's great. And like that, I'm not like dissing that by any means, but like if you put thought into like, okay, this activity, and then we're having dinner, and then we're doing this, like that shows like I'm planning like an experience,
an
for
evening
you.
with you. Yeah, because I think that's my biggest rub when, especially on first dates.
Yeah.
And I understand you don't know what's going to happen, but again, this was a second date, so, and we're connected in an interesting way, so we know each other a little better than just like going on a second date.
Yeah.
But I would say I get kind of off-put when people are like, do you want to just grab a coffee? Because it feels like they don't want to invest the time and the energy.
Yeah.
And I get it, but I think to a certain degree, like having an openness to be like, hey, well, like, and we even on our first date said, let's do breakfast. And then if we're feeling froggy, like, let's go for a walk or do something. And we agreed to that, which I really liked. We ended up just sitting and talking the entire time at the restaurant. The only time we had like that we could spend with each other, we used all of it. So that was one thing that I knew, though, like he was down to keep the adventure going. So the fact that this second date was 3 locations, I was like, mwah, love it. So the billiards was so fun and so playful and like sexy in its own right. And like, I just really appreciated like the thought that went into it.
Yeah.
And then the third thing that I really have to give him kudos on is a lookout, like going and looking at the stars, looking at the thing, which I'm like, are we in high school? I love this. Because it was so, not in a derogatory way, in a very complimentary way. It just felt very sweet and romantic and innocent. And
well, that gives you time also. I think what that does is like that allows you to be out in public together, see how they are in public, see how they are at restaurants with an activity, and then alone just talking.
Yeah. It gave us a time like to wrap up the date at the end of the night to like really just get to know each other more and talk. And there was like, it's just us in the car in this beautiful like cityscape.
Yeah.
And the funny thing that he did is he was like, listen, I was going to surprise you with this.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah. He goes, I'm going to surprise you with this, but I realize surprising a woman with a random location on the top of a hill, not the most desirable. And I thought that was so great. I thought that it was funny that he broke the ice with that. Like I wanted to surprise you. And the effort of wanting to surprise me was enough for me to be like really flattered.
Yeah.
And but then the fact that he had the self-awareness to be like, I'm not bringing this woman to a random like location where she's gonna be like, where the fuck are you taking me?
Yeah.
So I thought that
especially on a first date.
So that was brilliantly executed in my opinion. And yeah, like it just every single thing, it was like, let's get dinner. Okay, billiards. Okay, lookout. And it was just, we were just riding high. I feel like we had such a good time. And
the playlist.
Oh, the playlist, which we didn't even get to the playlist, but we like played each other's songs. But that was one thing. You're really giving up his.
Oh, sorry.
No. I love it. I'm saying like people steal this because it worked so well.
Yeah.
One thing that like the week leading up, because we had time before we knew we were going to have our date, and we were talking during the week, which I liked too because it was like kind of its own breaking the ice. And he asked me for what kind of music I like, so that he could curate a playlist for the drive.
Anybody that knows Maddie, that watches this show, that listens to this show, knows this is a playlist girl.
I'm a playlist girl.
This is a playlist girl.
Yeah.
And the fact that he did this without knowing, they're getting married.
Anyway, so yeah, it was a great date. I really recommend. I mean, don't take him.
Yeah.
I'm now being really protective over that. But like someone equivalent would be great, or someone who's willing to do that.
It's like the thought process, right?
Yes.
Like let's break this down. And the reason that all of that meant something is because he took the time to think about it. Mm-hmm. He took the time to send you options. Mm-hmm. He took the time to ask questions to know what your preferences were and to plan an experience. Like,
absolutely.
I think the most valuable thing somebody can give you is time, and somebody putting in effort and time to plan something like that for you speaks volumes.
Especially when you know they're busy. Like we're all, I would say arguably in LA, let alone everywhere, but we know how busy we are. And I know how busy he is. And that's why I appreciated even the like week before being like, hey, can you do Friday?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I can.
Yeah.
I can make that work. And then the leading up to it, him making the plans, and then he solidified the plans by what? It was like Tuesday or Wednesday?
Yeah,
it was like pretty early in the week, so I knew everything. I knew what was going into it.
Yeah.
I could plan my outfit. That was one thing that I really appreciated too. I was like, I need to know what we're doing so I can plan my outfit. So I can know the vibes. So I can know how my hair is. How, like, I don't know if men really think about this, or anyone who's dating women. Like, do you know that we have to know that, like, the four, like, we have to have the forethought to know.
To plan, like you said, like your hair and makeup and outfit are dictated by where you're going.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, and it was such a nice date. And I think that kind of intentionality was so...
That's a great word.
Palpable. Yeah, it was just so palpable. And I think it made me feel so safe and secure with him. It made me feel comfortable. It also made me feel pursued. Yes. I think that is something that's lacking a lot in dates, is it doesn't feel like an active pursuing.
Yeah.
And that was one thing that really resonated with me, where I kind of have told you, like, after the aftermath of this date, I'm not nervous, like, at all. Like, if it doesn't work out and for some reason, or we don't see each other, that would be totally fine. And we'd continue on, right? But it's like, one thing that I feel like I did have in the last year when I was going on more dates, like more first dates and just trying out and just kind of like throwing spaghetti at the wall, so to speak. A lot of the time, I didn't feel secure after the dates because they would be so wishy-washy with plans. It would feel like it was really off the cuff. It would feel like they didn't have any... like they weren't thinking. They weren't thinking ahead to try and please me or try to do anything nice for me. And I would be doing it too. Remember, I would show up to dates with like baked goods for them. I would do like...
Yeah. not all the time, but like but it wasn't even just baked goods. Like you were thinking about that person.
Yeah.
Even just in a friendly way.
Yes.
Like, okay, let me make sure that they're comfortable with doing this. Or like sometimes you were looking up restaurants and making the plans.
100%.
Like to make sure like, oh, well, they're busy. So like, let me see if I can take care of this.
I did it many times.
Many times.
Yeah.
And so you're not going against anything other than what you would have done for somebody as well. So like, I don't think it's like, oh, like I'm never doing this, but like I'm asking this person to do all of this for me. Like the reason you're asking somebody that could be a potential partner to do things for you is because I'm going to do that for you too.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like the reciprocation.
Exactly.
Like I know I'm going to show up like this as a partner, let alone someone who, even if we're just dating. So I'd expect the same kind of respect.
Absolutely.
And that was one thing that was so abundantly clear is that like he respected my time. He respected like who I like. He treated me so sweetly and delicately, and I was just like, we love a man that's in tune, and like intentional, and so. That's one thing that like now, even after the math, again, like if something were not to happen, but I'm like, I don't have the impression that like it's this ghosting or this like, it just feels like, oh, if it didn't work out, it didn't work out for whatever reason.
Yes. There'd be a specific reason.
It doesn't feel like it's careless or like, oh, he likes me, but like he doesn't like me enough. Like I feel like that's been a huge issue for the last year.
Yeah.
And I know so many other women, especially, but people that go on dates. But that is the main complaint that I hear from women this last like 2 years.
Oh, for sure.
It's like, he clearly likes me because he does A, B, and C.
Yeah, and he's keeping in contact.
And he's like,
but it's like this passiveness, like,
And then he'll go ghost for a week, or he's not really intentional with planning the date. Like he'll be like, okay, so I'll see you next week. And then I don't hear from him until the night before.
Yeah.
And it's like, they know that he wants to see her, but he's not putting in any extra time to show that it's an actual pursuing. Yeah. And I think, you know, that's where we talk about breadcrumbs and we talk about like, oh, it's just giving like the bare minimum.
Oh, for sure.
And
I think it does show a person's character. I actually remember a guy I was supposed to go on a date with, and we had talked about the date once, and he had said like a night, but like never followed up, didn't hear from him the day of. I ended up going out that night. He calls me when he's at my front door.
Oh, wow.
And I'm out. I'm like, I didn't hear from you.
I made other plans.
Yeah. I'm not waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I stand by that.
Yeah.
I'm someone that like, you give them grace, but as soon as it's within a 24-hour notice, I'm starting to make other plans because I'm not going to be waiting at home for you to knock on my front door.
Exactly. Or not knock on my front door and I'm sitting there waiting.
Because sometimes they won't fucking do it. And that's where like, if I'm not hearing from you within 24 hours before our date, confirming.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
Yeah. So I guess like the rules we'll say for sure is confirm dates. Like set the date, plan it, confirm it at least within 24 hours, if not more. Put effort into it. It doesn't take that much time to look up 3 restaurants, offer it to the person and say like, do you want to choose or do you want me to choose? If they don't want to choose, make 3 reservations. With the apps that we have nowadays, it's so freaking easy. Pick up some flowers on your way to the date. Like, again, I see people selling them on every corner. Like, you can stop. There's 7-Eleven. They're everywhere.
Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
Do not look me in the face. Yeah.
And, like, even if it's like, oh, I don't know how this is going to turn out. Like, you don't know how this is going to turn out. So you could also put a girl that could be somebody that's really great for you.
Yeah. No, it's so true. Like I have been off put.
Yeah.
And you have too. Like I know that we've talked about that. We've shared that experience.
Yeah.
I know that we've done it for each other too.
Oh, for sure.
Where it's like, don't be the guy that the girl has to make excuses for you. Like
don't.
In a heterosexual relationship, like I've had so many times where I have to be like, but he's nice, I swear. Like, he's really sweet. I promise he likes me. And my friends are looking at me like, okay. Yeah, because we support each other and we love each other and we want you to find that love and that, like, adoration and admiration.
Yeah.
And yet, like, it falls so short so often.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like being able to call my best friends, like, on Saturday after the date and be like, it was so good. Like, I want to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And it's it just helps your case because once the friends or the girlies or whatever the people are against you, my guy,
hard to come back.
It's hard to come back. And on the opposite end, if they're with you,
it's hard to be good. It's hard to be put out.
Yes. It was so funny because Noah was just saying this to me the other day about this guy in question. I was like, oh, I want you guys to go on a date. And I was like, I really want to meet him. And she was like, no, you're purposely not meeting him because I think you're going to like him. And if you like him, you're going to like push me into dating him more. And I was like, you're so right. Yeah. She's like, you're going to be like rooting for him. And then I'm going to feel like I got to go out with him because Maddie thinks he's a nice guy for me. Like, and it's true. I've been there too.
The secret is to win the friends.
That part. And so, yeah, like I think intentionality is just.
I actually asked Adam this the other day too. I'm like, how come guys have such a problem planning dates? Because I would think that that this guy is more of a rarity than what I've seen the masses. And he said, well, think that women, you guys get to talk to each other about everything. He's like, I'm never going to call my guy friends and be like, yo, like, what kind of date should I take this girl on? Like, what should I do? Do you think she'd like this? Like, and like, I don't feel like I can even talk to like most of my girlfriends about it, he's saying, as like his girlfriends. But so they don't have that outlet to kind of get that feedback.
To even compare notes, right? Like, how often, and I will say the guy that I went out with did ask his friend for the lookout because he knew his friend. And I was like, that's a resourceful king.
That is.
And I'm like, and also that gives me a comfort too, knowing that he feels comfortable enough with his friends to be like, hey, I'm trying to impress this girl. Because a lot of the time, and tell me if you've felt this sensation before, when I know my friends know about this guy, but I'm not sure if their friends know about me, that always feels weird. And that makes me automatically think you're not serious about this.
Oh, for sure. Instantly.
And I know that like it's not always the case. I think, again, to Adam's point, I don't think a lot of men specifically share with their friends like all the like he moments. But
that's the technical word.
Yeah, that is, obviously. We all know.
It's in the definition.
Yeah, thank you. You look it up. But it's true. Like, I don't think men get to like gab in the same way with their friends. But
there's also, I think when we talked about even approaching women, the fear of rejection, I think there is probably a fear that's associated. If I put too much time and energy and she rejects me, I'm going to feel like
I look like a putz.
Yeah, exactly. Which, again, like I'll come back to the comment of, no, like you've like regardless if she likes you or like things progress or not, like you'll still be left with a legacy of people when you meet them. And like that's what you want in life, regardless of who it is that you interact with. She'll still remember you as a good guy.
Yeah, so positively.
Yeah. I've been on dates where like I look back now and I'm like, God, that guy was so nice and he did so much for me. And I'll always remember him fondly. It didn't work out for us. Like I literally have somebody specifically in mind that was so kind to me and took me to like nice places and like did like really nice things for me. It just didn't work out.
Totally.
And it was to no fault of his own, but it was just like, but if I ever think of him, I think of him in a very positive light.
Well, and wouldn't you rather it be that, right? Like like if you're the man, say like if we're using this as an example and you're going like, I don't want to put myself out there because what about if I look stupid if I like put in all this effort and it's not reciprocated?
Yeah.
But you just said to no fault of his own, it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you rather be in that scenario than the scenario of like, I wish you just put in more effort. I was so into you.
Yeah.
Because there's guys that I've dated like that where you're just like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, what happened? Where are you?
Yeah. You're like, hello, do not resuscitate. Like, you're like, what the fuck?
DNR.
Like, I'm just like, come on. Like, why are you... You're like dead. Like, you're not giving me any energy and I'm actively...
Well, the problem is also, too, if you get too comfortable in not putting in the energy, like when you get to a place where you do want to do it, like your bar is going to be so low that if you even like raise it a little bit for a girl that you are interested in, it's not going to be to the level of which she's going to deserve and want to see from you.
Or like maybe this episode should prove to you like we have gone on really amazing dates. So when you do kind of perform subpar, it's not going to be as memorable. It's not going to be as like impressionable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, I think even if you are like, well, I'm going to step it up for her, but a step up is like getting a reservation. Yeah. Sorry. Like we're past that.
No,
we're past
we do that with our friends.
Yes.
Like,
I literally send stuff to you all the time. Yeah. You do the same.
Yeah.
Like I went to a wine bar the other night and I was like, I need to bring Ruth here. Like
I need to go. Let's go today. After we're done.
Like 5:00. But yeah, it's true. Like it's so funny that we can have that sensation where we go somewhere and we go, you know who would love this? I want to bring them there.
Absolutely.
And it's like, you guys can do the same.
Absolutely.
Like I have enough confidence in men that you know what is good and what's not.
You
like,
do.
Don't act like you don't have taste. Like you do. Like you go out to restaurants and you go, this was nice.
Yeah.
Those are the places you should bring like
totally
people to
or
that
if
you're dating.
Do, like even like if I go to a place that like is a really nice like date place, like I'll tell even like Adam like, hey, if you're taking a girl out, you should go here. Yeah,
I've done that to friends too.
Yeah.
To guy friends, I've been like, this would be a really great date spot because blank, blank, blank.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's just so interesting that I feel like. Please,
sorry,
no.
I want to hear your worst date.
Okay.
And from the worst date, we're gonna withdraw the factors of why and what to avoid.
Yeah. Oh God, there's been quite a few. One that's like sticking in my mind, I feel like was more this person's like personality, but we went to this restaurant. It was like, I remember it was confirmed really last minute. There was no reservation. He was like, hey, can you meet me here? And he was like, meet me. It was like a local spot for him, which I won't die on this hill, but I do think it's better to, for your first date, try and do closer to the woman if it's a heterosexual relationship or somewhere at least halfway.
Absolutely.
Like, at least halfway would be great instead of being like, come to my place. It's like a 5-minute walk from my place.
Exactly.
I'm like,
yeah.
you know, women can do that. This is a double standard. But yeah, I was just like, okay, so I had to drive all the way to him and I met him for sushi, but this sushi restaurant was dead, like dead. No one was in there. And I was like, is this going to be good? Because it just was so like not the vibe. The ambiance was horrible. We met at like 5 p.m. too. He for some reason was like, can we do an early dinner? And I was like, sure.
Yeah, we're senior citizens.
Yeah, literally. And I was like, okay. And we did. We met hella fucking early. And again, then no one was there. And then like really no one came into the place after that. Like maybe 2 parties. And I was like, oh, this doesn't seem like a legit place. And it didn't have great reviews. I remember that. And I was just like, oh God, for sushi? Like, I feel like you need to go to a place that has good reviews. Then the entire conversation dominated with what he wanted to talk about. He didn't ask me any questions. That's a huge thing too, being like inquisitive.
I hate that. I hate that even in normal conversation. Like it's so easy to go, what about you?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Just to direct it back and be like, well, what about? Yeah. No, 100%. Like it's so easy. It's just like manners.
Yeah.
And he was so self-absorbed and like talking about his life and all this stuff. And then like, I caught him in a lie multiple times. Like he had put, like we had met on Hinge, I want to say, and it had said like he went to film school or something like that. And I was like, oh, what film school did you go to? And then he was like, oh, well, I took a film class. And I was like, what do you mean you took a film class? And literally. And then he was like, well, I went to this school and I took a semester of film. And I was like, a semester? You said you went to film school. And then he was like, well, yeah, I work on sets now. And I was like, oh, cool. What do you do? And he was like, at the time he was like, I'm a COVID, like,
office.
And I was like, we appreciate the work you're doing. Like, I'm not trying to, but I was like, you're not crew or like, like he was acting like he was in production / and just gab, and nothing like interesting, nothing funny.
Wow.
He thought he was being funny, and then he kept like lying in those like small ways of like trying to make himself look more legit. And then I would inquire about it, be like, oh, like the film school thing, where I was like, oh, tell me more about that. And then he wouldn't have any proof to back it up. And it happened like 2 or 3 times. And then,
man, if you're gonna lie, shouldn't you have like a detailed backstory?
Something. You think these pathological liars out here, they have facts on facts on facts to give you. So you think, well, obviously this guy was not. He also didn't really look like his picture. That was one thing that was really disappointing too. I was just like, come on, like you didn't even
just
advertise
yourself correctly.
Correct. Yeah. And then I remember after that, he was like, it was so early. And he was like, well, let's do something else. And I was like, okay. And I was like, I didn't know how to like say, and I should have just said no, but we ended up just getting ice cream right like a couple doors down, thank God. Because then I was like, okay, I have to go after this.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay. And I remember during the ice cream thing, he was just like weird and like unsettling. And so again, it wasn't necessarily any of his date planning. I'm going to try and think of something that was like a poorly planned date.
Okay.
But I will say it was poorly planned in the time was so weird. The restaurant was weird.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't giving.
I mean, like the planning that he did do was so limited of just like, here's a restaurant down the street from me that I probably walk to on like a weeknight to grab something to eat. So we'll just go there. The ambiance is not great. So you didn't put any thought into that. For one, you're lying. So that's also like a horrible aspect to bring on a first date.
Yeah.
But if we're just taking bare bones of what not to do when you're planning a date, don't just go for the easiest restaurant option. Like we said, ask, like plan together even. If you really don't know, say like, hey, what kind of food do you like? I'm going to do a little bit of research, do a quick Google search. Find, even if it is like in your area, maybe you guys both live close to each other, or maybe there's something midway, like find something that has good reviews. There's so many tools out there. Like, that alone would have made that date somewhat better.
Yes. Even if he would have known, like, I really want to take you to this ice cream spot. It was so aimless after, like, just being like, so should we, like, you could tell he wanted to spend more time with me. So then he was scrambling for things we could do. And I'm like, it's 6 p.m., bitch. Like, I don't know, like, what to do. I'm like, do you want to go to a second dinner? Like, where you just lie about your entire life again? Like, I don't know. Yeah. So I just remember walking away from that date being like, oh my God, that was so insufferable. Like truly.
When you're dying to get away from somebody, like that's horrible.
And I can talk to a tree. Like I really enjoy, I've been on many dates before where I'm like, this is not a romantic connection, but I'm chilling, having a good conversation.
You've told me like, I think I could be their friends. Like,
I was like, I really enjoyed like hanging out with them. They're really intelligent. They have a cool perspective. Like, and I would talk. But this one, it was like, oh, and again, he was so self-obsessed, yet like had no merit for it. And I just was like,
that's screaming insecurity to me.
It was.
Which is also.
Yeah. Okay. I want to hear about your worst.
God.
Worst date. It doesn't have to be first, I guess.
It was a worse first date.
Okay.
And it was a friend of a friend. And he had been asking for my contact. Yes. He'd been asking for my contact info, got my number, called me up and was like, hey, I want to take you out, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, cool, yeah, we can go to dinner. And he was like, when are you free? Gave him a date. He was like, girl, I was like, well, where are we going to go? He's like, just dress to the nines. Dress to the nines. Just come like fully done and I'm going to take you out. I'm like, cool.
I love this story so much. I'm sorry, but it's just so the audacity to say dress to the nines and not have continue. Sorry.
No, it's okay. So then the night of, he sends me the info of the restaurant we're meeting at. I get there. He's not there. I'm first and I'm on time. But so I'm like, okay, whatever. I tell the lady my name. I'm like, oh, maybe a reservation's under this name. No reservation. No reservation.
Dress to the nines, but I won't get us a reservation.
Yes. And I won't show up on time.
The audacity, dude. Yeah.
And so the restaurant's packed. And so he's not there. So I'm like, okay, can we get a table? And she's like, oh, the wait's like an hour or something long. And she's like, but you can sit at the bar. I'm like, okay. So I go and sit at the bar. I wait for him. He arrives. We say hello. He's dressed in a backwards hat, baggy sweater, like just like it looks like he literally just woke up and came to this date.
Yeah.
And then he sits down and we barely talk the entire time because we're at the bar and there's a game on the television and he's literally watching the game the entire time.
Divorce, babes, divorce. Like, no, I'm like, I know you're not married, but like, Jesus fucking Christ. That's where I would actually consider getting up and leaving.
I should have.
No. I'm not saying like you were in such an uncomfortable conversation.
No, but I should have. Like now, that was when I was younger. When I was younger, I sat there and took it. If this was ever to happen to me in today's world, like, no, you're getting told off and I'm walking out.
I love her. That's awesome. Yeah.
But that was definitely the worst.
And didn't he give you shit about it after too? Wasn't like, didn't he want another date and you kind of were like, no, am I misremembering this?
Maybe.
And I thought he was kind of like, what? I thought we had a good time.
I think you're right.
And you were like, what in the world? What do you mean we had a good time?
In fact, after I left that date,
you went to another date.
I went on another date, and that date was fabulous.
And see, and that should be a lesson, okay? If you think you're going to be able to just slink by, I've gone. I'm not proud of this statement, but I've gone on multiple dates in one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a numbers game.
Sometimes the schedule is stacked and like
you gotta double book.
You're booked because you're like, hey, this person's not showing up.
And that's why you show up.
Yes.
And you make an impression.
And if you got a Google invite, you're not double booking yourself.
No,
babes.
you know you're booked that day.
It's true. And like honestly, now that I feel like I've done my fair share of dating. That's not as desirable for me. Like to like double book myself, even to date multiple people at the same time. I'm like, you couldn't pay me a lot.
Dating is like it's such a killjoy sometimes.
It's like another investment. It's another job.
It's another investment. I like that.
It's an investment of time, money, effort.
Yeah.
And honestly, intimacy. Like you have to be vulnerable and intimate. And so like
you don't want to kill yourself by overdoing it for sure. Like we're joking, obviously. Like you don't want to like if you want to, you can.
If you got the money and you want to do it. Like bless your heart.
But also it is a marathon. If you truly are looking for somebody to fall in love with and your goal is to find a partner, it doesn't do you any benefit in extending yourself where you get burnt out. And then you're like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to date. I don't want to go out. I don't want to plan. Like I'm backing away from it all.
Yeah.
And that could have been the time that you maybe met the perfect person for you.
Yeah. I remember you warning me of that.
Yeah.
Because there was a point in time where I was like, we are closed for biz. And you were like, but maybe. Yeah. And I was like, no, not after what I've been through.
Well, and it's hard when you go through like hard stuff or when you feel the drainage. Like we talked about dating fatigue before, and that's a very real thing, and that can happen if you're not protecting your time and your space.
Yeah. And I would argue that if you do fun, interesting things that like excite you as a person or invigorate your senses, you're not going to be as fatigued. I think what becomes so fatiguing or like, is when it's monotonous, when you are going to dinner drinks. And it's like no reservation. You're having to wait in line, sit outside. Oh, our table's ready. Okay. Like, let's go in. And then that's when it gets like tiring.
Yeah.
It just is so, and it is so monotonous. And you're just like, I don't want to have the same. Oh, how many siblings do you have?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Like, what do you do for work?
The surface level conversations always killed me. I'm like, I don't want to keep doing this. I don't want to keep pitching myself.
Yes, yeah. You know? And I think when you are in an interesting situation, a cool restaurant, even if it's not expensive, like I would go to a hole-in-the-wall restaurant that is like hella hyped or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
or a different type of food even.
Yes.
Like explore.
Like Ethiopian food, like where you're like, oh, I wouldn't know that, like I've never been exposed to Ethiopian food. And like,
you're like eating with your hands and it's a different experience. Like even if like you end up not dating this person, like don't you want to experience more?
Yes.
Like why not utilize the time to even have those experiences that you might have not normally done?
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah. So it was one of those... It's one of those things where like dating can really make or break the impression. And that's why we're not trying to scare you or be like trying to be like threatening when we're like, if you don't do this, you're going to be forgettable. But I will say, if you make a lasting impression, it's only going to help you and your track record. And it's so much cooler to be someone that intentionally cares than someone who doesn't. Yeah. Like I would rather say like you go on a date with a guy that goes all out. And like you said, you can think of a guy. I can think of a guy too that took me out last year for my birthday and he went all out. And I remember being like, after I was like, okay, I don't think this is a romantic connection, I still thought of him so fondly and was so appreciative of the time he put in. Not an ounce of that was embarrassing. Yeah. It was so cool that he took himself, he respected himself enough to put his best foot forward and be like, I'm showing up.
Yeah.
I like this girl. I'm putting an effort.
And there's another, like, somebody else might be watching this and it's not so much like, oh, like I'm afraid to make the effort. It might be like, oh, I really genuinely don't know. Like maybe you're younger and you're just starting to date, like, and get into like the actual dating of the going on dinners and everything like that. And you genuinely don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
Like, we're here to tell you, like, really, like, even being inquisitive while you're planning the date gets you a step to knowing this person even more. If you straight up ask them, say, like, do you want me to pick the restaurant or do you want me to give you some options or do you want me to just plan it and then just surprise you? Like, that alone allows that person to say, like, that this is my choice. And then you go, okay, so they want to be involved in decision making. Oh, okay, they like surprises. Oh, okay, like you're learning about them. And then that allows the track of how you want to plan this date and how you can make this a good experience for both of you.
100%. And like you're saying, like if we're referencing my date where it's like once he said he took a leap of faith with the playlist thing, right? It was like, I'm a playlist guy, so I'm going to do this. Like, and it was so well received on my part that like music was like interwoven into our date, you know, like, and then now that's something we can bond over. And I already was like, and I was like, not trying to get ahead of myself, but I was like, I have a shit ton of concerts I'm going to at the end of the year. Like, if this is working out, you might be my plus one. Like, and it's true. Ruth is like in love with this. But it's like that made it an easy connection, right? When you open yourself up to that, and now we know that we share that interest, and it's like it's exactly what you're advertising of like when you're intentional and you're asking these questions and you're going like, hey, like he didn't have to ask what kind of music. That could have been a very easy thing that he did when we got in the car.
Absolutely, yeah.
And like, would that have been less cool if like in the car he was like, I want to play music for you? No, not really, because it would be still super intentional. I mean, like, I want to do this for you. But it was just that one step further of like a couple days before him already thinking about the kind of music he wants to play when we're in the car together that I was like, oh, all right, we're cooking with gas. Like, this is going to go well. And I just would promote, if you're very caring and intentional and considerate, and we've said that so many times and so many, like, it really, those are some,
it's such a big thing though, and I don't know why like so many people are adverse to it or like or struggle with it in demonstrating these qualities. I don't understand, but listen, there's a ton of different factors that could lead to this, but I guess if it makes you feel like you're not cool if you do this, like, trust me, you are very cool if you do this.
Yes, I think it's way more impressive. You're way cooler. It's like the same thing when, sometimes you get heartbroken, right? And you're like, wow, I really loved that person, and now I feel like a putz, or like I feel like I've said putz twice. I don't know. But like, I feel like I was really taken advantage of or something like that. And it's like when you flip it and go like, but I loved them. Like I was open enough to share my affection with them. That is way cooler than someone that's going to be closed off and not showing any kind of. I have a question, if you don't mind.
Please.
I kind of want to go because I think there could be some people at home. I want to just like pivot a little that are like, what are some low cost or like free things that would be great ideas for maybe activities or something like that you would promote that you as a person would love to have as like be on the receiving end of a date.
Absolutely. So I'm a big foodie, and here in LA we have the restaurant week where a bunch of restaurants participate and like
Dine LA.
You get smaller plates at a cheaper price at nicer restaurants, but you get to explore. If I had somebody like during that time recommend one of those, that would be great. I'm also somebody that likes to be active and work out. Like I would totally be down for a hike. I would be down for a picnic. I think picnics are way underrated.
I love picnics.
And they're so fun. You can pick like a really nice spot during the day that like you guys can like just you pack the picnic and you bring something and like just sit there and talk.
Yeah.
I love bowling.
Bowling
is so fun.
Oh my God, bowling is so fun.
It's such a fun activity. It gets like you can laugh about it. You can kind of play with each other, and like it's like you're moving your body and you're going back and forth. There's a little bit of competitiveness.
Yeah.
Like That's super fun.
So fun.
Yeah.
Mini golfing is so fun.
Yeah.
Or like, yeah, if you are sporty and you want to go play tennis or like
totally
pickleball or something like that, like that would be cute. Like a little like, oh, let's do a beach day and play beach tennis or something. I don't know.
Anything.
I'm like, I've never done that, but like, I don't know if but I'm like those kinds of, like, I love a hike too.
Yeah.
A picnic would be divine, truly.
Or even like going to like, if you live in the coastal areas, going to the beach and just walking on the coastline, I think is so
I love
nice.
a beach walk. Yeah. Beach walks are underrated.
Absolutely.
And even like going to like, not necessarily bar hopping, but kind of that kind of thing. Like say like, your partner likes thrift shopping or something, or vintage shopping, or like that kind of like looking for a gem, Yeah. What about if you were like, listen, I lined up 5 spots for us. We're going to do a little tour. And you're not saying that you're going to buy anything necessarily,
but it's just everything out. Yeah.
And it's just an adventure. You could grab a $6 coffee, which is a lot, but like you could do like, go get a nice ass latte.
Or you could even just get like coffee
things.
mugs and make coffee at home and bring it to them. And like, even if it's just like a cup of coffee, like it's anything that you put time and effort into. Like even like you said, just looking up spots like, hey, like I know you're interested in XYZ. And I found this like, or I've seen even fun things. Like I still really want to do like going to the store where you're like going along the line. And then as soon as you say stop, that's your outfit for the night. And you can do like cheap, like that's an experience that's fun. You can laugh with and then just enjoy your time together.
Yeah, and you wear it to the date, like thrift shopping. That's such a cute idea. Or I've seen it in grocery stores when you go like rock, paper, scissors, you pick the main course, you pick the entree, you pick the and that's more, it seems more catered to people that have been together for a while. But like that, I think you could do that on not a first date.
Do that on like a third date.
Yeah. I think early on, if you're like, hey, let's cook at home. Yeah. And you're like, hey, all right, rock, paper, scissors, drink. Like,
or what about even those like meals that they mail you that you can, usually the first one's pretty cheap. Yes. You could just have like a first one mailed to you and you could like say, hey, I got this meal kit. Yeah. Like, do you want to come over and cook together?
That's such a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what like is fun that I've done that I haven't done it on a date, but I've done it with so many friends. It's like tie-dyeing or doing something like that. Like I know that sounds so stupid and like trivial, but I'm like, that would be funny to me if someone was like, listen, do you want to fucking watch a movie or like listen to 70s music and we like tie-dye a shirt together?
Or paint each other's portraits. Have you seen those?
Yes. And those are so cute. Like a sip and paint. Yeah. And you could just do that with like a little, so cute.
That's super cute.
You
and
just buy canvases, little paint brushes.
That's not that expensive.
Set up and you can do that at your home.
Yeah.
Like so easy.
Yeah. And it's just putting a little bit of thought and effort into 100%.
It. Yeah. So I think there are so many ways that you could do that. I love a walk. Really. Like something as simple of a walk if it's intentional. If it's like, I want to show you this. I want to take you here. Yeah. I love this neighborhood. You want to walk around with it? Yeah. Around it with me? I'd so be down. Like I think
I completely agree.
And it would still feel romantic and active and like
and you're getting to know each other. I think that's the main point of a date is to get to know each other more, to see if you want to continue pursuing something. Like nothing's better than just like having your body moving, and like I feel like walking's so meditative, so it kind of loosens you and allows you to just talk.
And you don't feel so like seated, like oh my god, or my boobs
you're
showing,
so aware of like
hair.
how you look.
You're just kind of like
absolutely.
You're just gallivanting. There's so many things. And like the internet is our friend.
It is.
And I really promote Google. Like I think it's so funny.
Everything.
I Google everything. And I know that sounds like so trivial, but like, I'm like, all the time, we're foodies and I feel like a lot of our friends come to us for food recommendations all the time. Yeah. We're like those friends. Yeah. And half of the time, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm just putting in keywords, It's like Italian, bistro, and you're like near me. Like it's really not hard.
It's not.
You just read a couple reviews, you take them together, and that's it. Yeah. Like there's also the Nudge app. That's the thing that I love.
You do, yeah.
I love Nudge. Yeah. You can get it for free, completely for free. And they send you weekly date ideas.
You get options. Like you can literally just file these.
Yes. We've gone on so many of the dates together. We have to go.
Looking at our pumpkin patch the other day.
We went to the pumpkin patch.
And we had the best breakfast. Do you remember that place we went to?
Because it recommended. It was like, so this is where this pumpkin patch. Yeah. So they did the research for you. So if you feel like not creative or something like that, finding apps like that. Like I know like Infatuation LA does that too, where they tell you great restaurants. But like Nudge is so awesome because that was like, I wanted to go to a pumpkin patch. It and it's like seasonal. It's like for the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to go to a fucking pumpkin patch. So I told you, I was like, we're going.
I was like, let's go.
And it was like a pick your own like
it was
veggie
so
thing.
Cute.
Too.
We had so much fun. Yeah, we came home with those bags of veggies.
And it was only
so
like
much fun.
$7 or something. It was ridiculous. And it was at a farm, not far from LA.
No. But it felt still like a little bit like a drive.
journey.
But it was fun to go to.
And we were listening to music and we were showing each other music. I remember that. And because the Nudge planner was like, this is not in LA, like, let me recommend a breakfast spot. And we went to the breakfast spot that they recommended. They recommended even entrees on there. Like, it's delicious. So, I can't express to you how easy it is. They're handing it to you. They're spoon feeding it to you. And we loved it.
We did. We had the best day. That was so much fun.
It was truly one of like my favorite days.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Like, we got so many cute pictures. It was such a good time.
It was such a good time.
And like Nudge does that. And I pay extra for Nudge because I want all of the fucking plans. I'm like, give them. And they do like weekends away and things like that.
So
like
cool.
they'll put a lot of options on there.
Weekends away.
Yeah, they'll show you
so
like
fun.
if you want to get away out of LA.
I love that.
And when the paying like the subscription, I only pay like $4.99 a month.
Oh, that's nothing.
And that's giving you more like unlocked access.
Well, then like you could still utilize it for your friends too. Like it's not just dates even.
I think I predominantly done it with friends. I have done it with a couple.
We all benefit from her subscription.
Well, and also I remember like the subscription gets you, I'm like, we are not sponsored.
But we could be.
I'm like, Nudge. You know, if you want to sponsor us, I'm giving them like a fucking glowing review right now. But it's true because I remember even some of their discount codes have given me free tickets to things like comedy nights.
Yeah.
I remember one thing during the summer that I love that I would recommend for a date night is like rooftop cinema.
Oh,
or what's the one with the food
like
trucks?
Concerts in the park too?
Concerts in the park.
Yeah.
Hollywood Forever Cemetery does concerts in the. Those are so fun.
Oh, we should totally do
We
that.
should. We got to look at their schedule because they have so many things. Like the Bowl is crazy.
Yeah.
Like they have so many. The Greek, they're so fun. And you can bring your own food to those things. And
it's like the picnic. Go to like even doing something like that and bringing a picnic. Yeah,
bring it. You can eat it and then go to a concert. Are you kidding me? And the rooftop cinema, and then there's like the cinema. What's the one with the food trucks? But there's one with food trucks. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do know what you're talking about. Like it's like they have the whole lineup of food trucks. Yeah,
it was so fun. And I remember Nudge. It was for Pride Month. It was last June. I think it was last June or maybe the one before. Noah and I went, and because I was a subscription member, they were like, put in this code and I got 2 free tickets.
Oh wow!
And we got to watch Rocket Man in this beautiful park in WeHo, and there was food trucks. We had so much fun.
That's so fun.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's the kind of things. And like and again, another truth bomb. We're doing this with our friends, so like, step up to the plate. Like, if you want to like wine and dine us, we're doing it by ourselves or with our friends. So,
time for you. So, to wrap us up, just put a little bit of effort into your planning. Even if you're not sure this girl is the one, you want to leave that good taste in her mouth. And you also want to prep yourself for when the one does come along and you do want to show her. You're priming the pump. Like, you're really learning. You're learning how to be a great partner. And, like, these are just small steps. It really isn't that hard. If you need advice, if you want us to go further into this, please let us know. We're always happy to help. Please don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like, and we'll see you next week on Femme Tell All.
thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.